How has it been starting your career in the social sector?
It actually happened completely by accident. A friend of mine, I just completed about 20 odd years, and as usual, everybody who's in government keeps flirting with the idea that, you know what, I want to join the development sector. And there's a friend of mine who's working with a headhunter who just reached out and said, Oxfam is looking for a director ops, are you interested? And just like that, it happened. There was no plan, there was no, oh, I must make this transition. And also, I think once I made up my mind, so in government, you have the option that if you want to go on a secondment, you can do that as well. But since I made up my mind, I'm like, take the jump. So that's how it happened.
That's great. I think accidental pleasures are the best. I have one more question. We all know that right now we talk about women development, and it has, but on a very surface level, it has improved. The deepest echelons still face that problem. As a woman leader, how do you think all women need to come together to solve this, or do we need to include the fence sitters that are the male into these issues as well?
Honestly, for me, women's issues are not about women so much. For me, women's issues are more about everybody. You know, the fact is patriarchy is so deeply embedded that sometimes it's second nature, and people, the whole thing around social bias is more deeply embedded than it is visible. And that's because of the socialization process we've gone through. So despite whatever education you think you have overcome it, etc., in casual conversations, even with friends and colleagues, it comes through when people are unguarded, right? I think there's a need to strengthen the environment first, and going on saying that, oh, but just hire women is a disservice to women, because we don't need largesse, right? We have worked hard, we've come up to what we are, and to then say, oh, we need reservation for women, or I think the moment you end up with reservation, you start getting undermined, right? So there's a need to include more women when you're hiring, when you're recruiting. But having said that, I think what is really important is to look at talent. And if you find that there is a shortage of talent, there's first a need to nurture that talent. And then bring people into a place where they're on a level playing field, then bringing in a woman just to tick a box, and then treating that person as doesn't know, so let somebody else do the work. There's a whole very toxic environment. So I think it's two-pronged. Yes, definitely bring more women into the workforce. To do that, enable them by equipping them, in a manner where they are a force to reckon with the rest of their careers.
Do you think organizations actually take this as an excuse that because there's a lot of not nurturing or a lot of education that is not given to women, so that's not an equal playing field, right? Especially for men and women. But that's an excuse for organizations to say that the talent isn't there. That's why we are hiring men.
You can't say the talent isn't there without giving it a chance, right? And a lot of times you find that because of lack of exposure, people are not coming up the curve. It's not that you have to sit and nurture, right? But give them the exposure, they'll come up the curve, because obviously they have a level of education. You've called them into the room to talk to them because they have ticked the boxes that brings them there. They are at the table, and if there is a gap, they will come up. Why do you assume that they will not come up that gap on their own, right? Number one. Number two, I think, patronizing women is something I don't really hold much grief for. And the whole attitude ki bichare inko le lete hain is the worst way of empowering people in the workspace.
Last question. So one favorite key takeaway from your sector, that's something that you think that everyone should know about development sector that people often don't know?
I think the most important thing about the development sector is it kind of generates a certain passion within you, and especially if you're there by choice, you understand why you're there. And once you're there, I think it becomes like intoxication. It's like this magic that holds you there, and there are so many things that you have to deal with. One of the main issues being funding, proper talent in the sector, and talking about pipelines is great. Where's the money to support the pipeline, right? All of that. Having said that, it's magic. especially for somebody like me, because it kind of consumes you. And after a point, it's like, how can anybody not want to do this, right? So I think passion is something that is key to this sector. And if you really want to do this, then you must be here, because you will fall in love with this place despite all the issues that it has.